Hello, Ron. Hello, everyone. And today, Mohammad Toosy. A lot of people have already seen me, and with me we have Ron Leeman. Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm fine, Toosy. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. It's a great day, and we are going to actually talk about this change management. We'll precisely talk about change management, and we will be talking about ICTPA, Institute of Change and Transformation Professional Asia. We would be talking about Toosy Advisory Services. We were talking about Highway for Change, and we will talk about what are we trying to do and how are we going to try to make this world a better place by enhancing the competency. Ron, over to you. Could you actually please introduce yourself a bit?
Sure, no problem. Yeah, as Toosy said, my name's Ron Leeman. I'm the founder, whatever you want to call it, of my company called the Highway of Change. I've been in the business of change and transformation for over 4 decades now. Before it was actually recognized as a discipline it is today. I've worked across the length and breadth of the UK. I've worked across many countries in Europe. I've worked in the States. I've worked in the Middle East. I've worked in Asia. I now live in Thailand since 2011. I am, I suppose, a bit of everything in relation to change management. I'm a consultant, a blogger, a speaker, an author of business frameworks, a coach and mentor, and a trusted advisor. And a trainer. So I do everything that is related to change management. In 2012, I was recognized by the World HRD Congress as a change leader of tomorrow. And I was awarded a nice plaque and a nice thing, which I haven't got. I've got it in the other room. But it was in recognition of what they said, my remarkable progress in initiating changes enough for others in the same industry to follow. As Toosy mentioned, the ICTPA, I'm the founder of the Institute of Change and Transformation Professionals Asia, which I think we're going to talk about a little bit later. So that's me, basically. Hello, how are you doing, everyone?
Yeah, and I would like to introduce myself because this is a wider audience than normal. We are live on other pages where I haven't come live yet. So I'd like to introduce myself too. I'm actually Mohammad Toosy. I'm a Lean Six Sigma Master Black Belt and a change management practitioner. I am the country representative for Pakistan for Institute of Change and Transformation Professional Asia. I was lucky enough for Ron to be chosen by Ron to represent Pakistan in that professional body which we've created. And since that happened, there's no looking back. I mean, it's all only going forward for that. And my first initial exposure of change management was back in 2006, where I studied strategic change management in University of Surrey. My research my MBA research was on the role of leadership in reducing resistance to change. After that, I've had various roles. I've used change management. I've practiced change management. I've practiced change management in telcos. I've practiced in payment processors in a bank. And I have provided consulting and trainings on change management. That's my background. Internationally, my exposure has been America, USA in particular, UK. I was born there, and I've worked there too. Switzerland, where I've gone for a professional engagement. Portugal, where I went for a professional engagement. I actually went to Coimbra. That's in the middle of Portugal. And other than that, I have also obviously worked in Pakistan. And now I have an assignment in which I'm going to look towards the east. And that's going to be a really interesting assignment because now I'm actually to the east when it's going to be the east. And I've recently, Toosy Advisory Services, the company which I've recently formed, has come up with a joint venture between Asian Institute of Technology Extension and Toosy Advisory Services to create a Lean Six Sigma Academy. And it's going to deliver change management, it's going to deliver Lean Six Sigma. And even though I have a profile of change management, for the delivery, I want the delivery to be done by the best. and my obvious choice was Ron. And my choice is Ron because of experience. I have taken his course. Even though I have taught change management to MBA students in University of Central Punjab. Sorry, University of Central Punjab. I've taught it over there. I taught John Hayes theory and practice of change management in that university. And I have been reading, I have been researching, I've been delivering trainings. But when I went through the training of Ron, that had something really interesting. It had a blend of theory along with practice. And Ron, being having 40 years of experience of change management, had examples for everything. And the other important thing, the other really interesting thing is about Ron is that Ron does not actually he does not keep his training and material stagnant. He keeps on improving based on whatever customer experience he gets and whatever feedback he gets. So, like one of his recent addition in his change management curriculum and the training, I think that's the neurosciences related to change management, how the brain works.
Change management of the brain, the neuroscience of the brain, and the fight and flight reaction, and the basically the way the neurons work in the brain and how they react to change, and how most of the brain is inactive most of the time, but only 10% allegedly is active. And it's a natural the brain is our natural reactor. Basically, when faced with change, the brain reacts, and we have a natural tendency to react negatively to change. That is what the brain is wired for. It's a negative reaction, and change management. One of the main things around change management, just moving on a little bit from the brain, is about changing mindsets and behaviors. And if you need to change mindsets and behaviors, you need to start delving into what goes on up here in the grey matter. So the neuroscience of change is actually very important. And the only way to really affect change properly is to make sure that the people who are impacted by the change their mindsets are changed to be supportive of the change, and their behaviors, the way they act after the change has happened or during the change, is in line with what you're looking for. Because as soon as the mindset has changed, and as soon as the behaviors have changed, and the people start working with the new ways of working, that's when success is achieved in relation to change management. Toosy?
Yeah, and yeah, that's really nice, and it's really interesting, and that actually gives this is just giving a small insight. It's giving a small insight of the level of detail which is in this training. That's a small insight. And another interesting thing is Highway of Change. Well, Highway and Change and Toosy Advisory Services, we are associates for each other, and we are also associated. Like Ron is also associated because he founded the Institute of Change and Transformation Professional Asia, and I'm part of it. So we're also together over there. And I would like to, if Ron, if you allow me, can I actually tell them the audience about the vision and what do you call it? Mission of.
By all means, yeah, I can. I'll chip in if I need. If I need to.
So our vision is to advance change and transformation practices across the region by leveraging local insights and perspectives to deliver meaningful and measurable values to individuals and organizations. That's our vision. Our mission is, as the region's professional body, we seek to collaborate with organizations and educational institutions to build competencies and skills of change and transformation practitioners through sharing knowledge and setting of professional standards. So that's what we are trying to do. That's our vision. That's our vision, and that is what we're trying to do.
I mean, just to add to that, one of the issues. Let me just go back about 2 years when I first kicked the ICTPA off. One of the things when I moved to Thailand in 2011, one of the things I tried to do was get interim contract roles for consultancy work. And one of the things that always got in the way was, do you know the culture? So if I wanted to work in Indonesia, or if I wanted to work in the Philippines, or I wanted to work in Singapore, the question is, have you worked here before? Do you know the Asian culture? And my answer had to be no, because I just moved from the UK. But I'd worked in Singapore before. But so I kind of sat down and thought, it seems to be an issue here for me, and I need to understand the culture. So I did a survey in 2013 in relation to the way country culture impacts change here in Asia, and I did a follow-up survey this year, early 2020, just to see if anything had changed, and it actually hadn't. But what the surveys, the first culture survey said to me was that change and transformation is actually practiced very differently here in Asia. And one of the main reasons it's practiced differently is because of the country culture. And each country here in Asia, and the survey was done across 14 different countries, each country here in Asia had different aspects of country culture, which the individuals who participated in the survey said impacted when they were practicing change and transformation. So coming forward a few years, I had a conversation with a guy in the UK, a colleague of mine, but he hails from Asia, and we talked about, again, the way change and transformation is practiced in Asia. And I thought, there's a gap. There are two professional bodies that represent change and transformation globally. One is the Association of Change Management Professionals in the US. The other one is the Change Management Institute in Australia. And but their penetration, based on the surveys I did, their penetration here in Asia was negligible. So I contacted them both and I said, how do your offerings, the offerings from the Change Management Institute and the ACMP, cater for the different way change and transformation is practiced in Asia? I got a very corporate reply from both of them. And I thought, they said, oh, well, we've got chapters in Asia, Hong Kong, Singapore, not in Singapore, Hong Kong, and a couple of other places, and we've got practitioners in Asia. But as I said, the penetration was not that great. So that kind of said to me, there's a gap. There's a gap between the US and Australia in terms of change and transformation. And because of the cultural issues, I came up with the idea of, I can't remember what I originally thought it was, but it has now become the Institute of Change and Transformation Professionals Asia. And Toosy obviously very eloquently told us what our vision and mission statements were. Yeah. We're two years down the road. It's taken a while, because if you think about it, what I'm trying to do, or what we're trying to do, and we are a team, we've got 11 country reps out of 14 countries, but we're trying to leverage expertise in 14 different Asian countries. Yeah. So it's been a long journey so far, but what I will say is we are now on the cusp of actually becoming a proper official legal entity. We've recently created a working group from some of the country representatives to actually drive forward the establishment of the ICTPA. And I am really looking forward to the culmination of all of my 2 years, it'll probably be 2.5 years, 2.5 years worth of effort. And when I can eventually stand up and say, we are now the official Institute of Change and Transformation Professionals Asia. We are now an incorporated professional, not-for-profit body. That day will come, and it will be coming in the next, I'm not even going to put a time scale on it, because I thought it'd take about a year and a half originally. It's taken longer. And obviously with the pandemic issue that's just recently happened, it slowed things down, because we were originally going to meet face-to-face in Bangkok in February, but that got put off because of the travel restrictions, etc. So we're dealing with a lot of stuff online at the moment. So it kind of slows everything up a bit, but we are getting there.
Yeah, and it's something which is really needed in this region. Change. I mean, we have been sharing and we've been talking about, and we've shared. One of the most favorite statements is that the future has come earlier than it was thought of. Asia
Yep.
is Asia is the future.
Yep.
The delta of the change in Asia, the amount of growth, economic growth in Asia is way above the percentage of economic growth in the West. It's not that the West is actually not growing, it's growing, but it's growing slower. And that is a relatively a mature market. This Asia and is a market which is it needs to mature, it needs to actually harden, it needs to actually enhance its capability. And when we are going to enhance the capability of the region, it's important for us to understand that every country has its own culture, every country has its own dynamics. 50 years ago, Gerard Hofstede, he did a survey in IBM. He did a survey in IBM, and part of his findings was no matter which country you come from, your answers to his particular questions would be the same based on which country you are from, whether you're blue collared or whether you're white collared. And I would encourage a lot of the viewers over here to look at the Highway to Change of Change website, where the surveys on the survey link, there is all of the surveys which Ron has recently, what Ron has recently published. Well, it's since the last few years, it's all on his website. So anyone interested, please go to his website. Please check it out. Please look at it. Please download the surveys. You'll get an idea. And in
Yeah.
that survey, which the latest survey he did, he actually talked about this was what I found in 2013. This is what I found in 2019. And this is what Hofstede found. So you can
Yeah.
see the variation.
Yeah, I mean, just like talk about the culture a little bit. The three in the recent survey, what came out as the top dynamics that impact change and transformation in Asia. The first one was relationships. Yeah,
Yeah.
the need to build solid relationships, and by building solid relationships, you build trust with the people that you're doing the change to. Yeah, the second and third was one was hierarchy, and the third one was responsibility. To an extent, Asia is still a fairly hierarchical society, regardless of which country. Hierarchy and responsibility came out in the top three in many Asian countries, and it is still, to an extent, a very hierarchical country. And also, the fact about people taking responsibility is kind of related to hierarchy. People are a little bit unwilling to put their head above the parapet and take responsibility for their own actions. They much prefer to sit back and wait for somebody else to do it. And these are real issues when you're practicing change management here in Asia. And these are things that need to be overcome. And the way to overcome them, if I go back, is to build those relationships. Initially, build a relationship. That adds a fair bit of time to any change management initiative, but it's important to actually do that here in Asia. One of the things is you get many Western consultants coming over, like me originally in 2011, many Western consultants coming over to Asia, and they come with their Western mindset, and they come with their Western methodologies. You know, this is what I'm going to work to, guys, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work because they haven't taken the time. So if they come to Pakistan, or if they come to Thailand, or if they go to Indonesia, they haven't taken time to understand the culture of those countries before they come. And what do I do? How do I greet people? How do I talk to people? How do I shake hands? Do I do a Y here, like in Thailand, or how does it work? If they took time to do that, and they took time to build the relationships with the people they were doing the consultancy for, the initiatives would be much more successful. Yeah. So sometimes it's a real, it was an eye opener for me when I first came here, but now I've worked in Singapore, I've worked in Thailand, I've worked in Indonesia, etc. So I'm kind of, and having done the surveys, I kind of know all the culture and all the cultural idiosyncrasies of each country.
Yeah.
So it's not such a big issue anymore.
And you've dealt enough with me since the last 1.5 years to actually understand Pakistan too. You can say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I understand Pakistan very well now, with just purely through conversation. But comes back to building relationships. I have for want of a better word, I have a relationship with Toosy. It's a professional working relationship with Toosy now. And we exchange views. We exchange very basic views about things. And this is what it's all about when you build relationships and you build trust. Yeah, you can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about without fear of incrimination or whatever. Yeah, it's a totally open and honest relationship, and that's the way things should happen. Even in going back to the West, that's the way in the West should happen. But unfortunately, there are certain things that prevent that from happening in the West. But here in Asia, it's actually paramount that those relationships are built and that trust is built before you actually do anything else.
And that's exactly why whenever there's going to be any change management initiative, you have to build trust. You have to ensure that you have the right relationships. And that is exactly why if you just copy paste something from the head office, which could be outside of Pakistan, it would not work because copy paste doesn't work. It has to be tailored according to the reality. And interestingly, we have received a lot of queries that would you actually help us understand Asia? Would you actually help us understand all these dynamics? I mean, recently I had a query from an American company which is in 80 countries, and that American company asked me, would you help us in Asia? Because I have a change initiative which I have planned for in the next 3 years. Would you help us in that? And obviously, because coming from America, I mean, the rest of the world is not like America. And if they look at everything from that particular lens, it won't work.
No. I mean, there's certain aspects that will work, but in the main,
certain will.
You're actually coming into a totally different environment that you've been working in the West. If you come from the States or you come from Europe, etc., you're coming into a totally different environment, and that's the one thing you've got to recognise. And unfortunately, a lot of people who come over here do not recognise that fact, and they absolutely should. I didn't. I have to admit, one of my mistakes was I thought I come from the UK. Yeah, I'm a practice change management guy. I know what I'm talking about. I'll come over and do the business. It didn't work. It just didn't work. I had to get under the skin of the culture before I was accepted. Yeah, and it took me 2 years before I got my first role in Singapore. Yeah.
Wow.
2 years, and but it was a necessary thing to do, and obviously now I'm ensconced here in Asia, and I kind of know the ropes now.
Now you actually obviously you've interacted with everyone, nearly everyone. We have country representative in India, Singapore, we have Thailand. Well, you're already in Thailand, Vietnam, Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Taiwan, Hong Kong. We have
Sri Lanka.
Yeah, Sri Lanka. Japan.
Yeah, there's 14 countries in scope, but we've only got at the moment we've got 11 country representatives. So we're missing country representatives for Japan, Korea as well, and China. And China. That's right. Those are the 3 countries we're missing country representatives for. But, at the end of the day, at some stage you have to say, well, we have to move forward. So we're moving forward with what we've got, and we'll establish the ICTPA with what we've got. And then hopefully once we're established, more people will come on board. I mean, just to give you an idea of the way it's moving, we have a LinkedIn group as an example. We are getting 50 followers in every month, sometimes in 3 weeks, 50 followers every month. Yeah. Okay. We have a LinkedIn group which is we've got over 1,000 members. Yeah. So the awareness is another key change management thing. Yeah. The awareness is getting out there and people are understanding it. And one of the things that that I am sort of majoring on is that what we're trying to do is not only involve those people that have change management or digital transformation in their title. What we're trying to do is involve anybody who is involved in any kind of change. And referring to Toosy, Lean Six Sigma is change. Yeah. Learning and development is change. Process re-engineering is change. Yeah, I think Toosy's just changing his headset. So process re-engineering is change. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to encapsulate all the people that are involved in any kind of change, because they have to have is maybe the wrong word. They should have a basic understanding of some of the change management tools and techniques that are needed to actually implement change properly, especially around the people side of change. What I mentioned earlier about, changing mindsets, behaviors, trying to look at change resistant people and, change supporting people, etc. Looking at the neuroscience of change and so forth. So it's not only just change management people. Yeah. Because if you think about it logically, everybody is involved in change in some way, shape, or form. Everybody, regardless of what your position is, you are either impacted by the change or you're helping to drive the change, one or the other. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, just let me talk about the pandemic very, very quickly. This is actually driving change at a rate of, that's never not been known before. Yeah, it's driving real big changes in the workplace, the way people interact with each other, etc. So, understanding the elements of change and the mindsets and the behaviors, etc., is an absolute must, because people are scared, people are frightened, because they don't know what they're going to go back to in the workplace, or they don't know what they should be going back to in the workplace. Sorry, yes.
Yeah, and we don't know the behavior. We don't actually seriously understand the behavior of this virus. I mean, a few days ago, WHO says, if I'm not wrong, the asymptomatic cannot infect. The very next day, they said, "Oh no, we were wrong. They can infect." Yeah. So, I mean, we don't have enough conclusive data to actually establish something.
Yeah, and if there's ever a need now for agile change management, it's now, because you need to be on your toes. But if you're a good change manager, you're always agile anyway, because change management is never static. It's never, people say, waterfall change management is dead. Well, I don't think there was ever a thing called waterfall change management.
Yeah, that's right.
Change management is a very sort of, thing that you need to, you've got loads of things, and all things going on at the same time, and you can't, you can look at waterfall, this bit first, that bit first, that next, etc. But in between time, you're still having to deal with lots of different stuff. So it's a mix of agile and a mix of waterfall, and now, as I say, it's more important than ever.
Yes, could you actually consider it like the Big Bang theory of change management? It's the Big Bang theory of change management.
The what? Sorry.
Big Bang. There's a Big Bang theory of change management in which things just happen. Have you ever heard of that term?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh, okay.
So just briefly explain it to me. Go on.
It's a Big Bang theory of change management in which the change happens and you don't have time to prepare for it.
It
happens all of a sudden. It actually happens all of a sudden, and you don't know what's hit you. And this COVID-19 is exactly Big Bang theory. No one knows what's hit them.
Sorry, now I understand. I didn't get the first Big Bang. Yeah, these things happen, and it can happen in anything. A change initiative very rarely goes to plan. Very rarely goes to plan. You can put the best plans in place in the world, and you can put the best change interventions in place, you can put the best communication plan in place, you can put the best stakeholder engagement plan in place, and the process change, etc., etc. But change initiatives very rarely go to the way they should do. And the COVID-19 is a prime example. Bang, it's here all of a sudden.
Yeah.
We have to change what we do. All of a sudden, we're self-isolating, we're working from home, with social distancing, etc., etc., etc. These are things that have been forced upon us. Yeah. We can't do anything. We couldn't do anything about it. It's happened. Okay, we have to accept it. And it kind of, you look at it and you kind of think, well, maybe that's the way we should implement change in the future. Just force it on people. But no, that's
exactly my perspective. Why certain societies change faster than other societies. Now, keep the politics aside. If we keep the politics aside, if you don't have to engage people and if you don't have to actually get them involved and get their consensus, you can move forward very fast.
Well, you can, and that's absolutely right. But what you get is you get a certain amount of resistance, and what you're seeing now is certainly in countries who are slowly coming out of lockdown, that people are saying, I don't care anymore. I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that, etc., etc. And they're starting to fight it. They're starting to resist against it. And that was because the way it was enforced originally. And maybe as well, it could have been something to do with the fact that it happened so quickly and you couldn't get the communications out there quick enough. The communications were varied and they were contradictory and so forth. And coming back to change management again, my foundations of change management, 3 of my foundations are as having a good sponsor. So let's align that to a leadership issue, and let's align that to a country leader.
Yeah, okay? That's right.
Communications. Okay. How do we communicate? We have to communicate. This is happening. You have to go into lockdown, etc., etc. And the third one is stakeholder engagement. You have to communicate with your stakeholders. So if you align that to the way COVID has happened, you've got your country leader who's having to communicate, to engage with their stakeholders and communicate with them, but all in a very, very protected space of time. And no wonder things have gone wrong. No wonder certain countries have done better, New Zealand, than others, the US. But it's one of these things. It's a factor that you have to consider, that if a change is forced upon you, you don't have time to do the nice things that you like to do in a normal pre-planned change initiative. So if that makes sense.
Actually I say that it makes sense to me, and I think that the response to change management and the way the public in different countries have taken it is a lot to do with the leadership and the moral authority of the leadership. Not only the leadership, moral authority of the leadership. Like Jacinda, I mean, I have all praise for that lady, Jacinda Arcadian. I think that's her name.
Jacinda.
Jacinda. Okay, Jacinda. Jacinda has. I think she's the first one who's actually taken it out.
Yeah, they've declared New Zealand. New Zealand's been declared a COVID-free zone.
COVID-free, and that is, and I think she's a very popular leader over there. And she has the moral. She has the empathy. She has the empathy. She has the moral authority. She has the empathy. When she speaks, people listen. That's the thing.
Interestingly, you talk about leadership and you talk about management, and the two are often separated. Okay, but I have I don't know. Did I mention my YouTube channel?
No, you have to do that.
Channel? Yeah. All right, I have a YouTube channel on where I answer questions that are sent in by people. Yeah, and I answer them in a video format. And what the last video I did was, someone said, what's the difference between leading change and managing change? Okay, and one of the things I said at the end of the video is that there are certain differences in leading change and managing change. Okay, but one of the last things I said in the video is that what you've got leaders that have made a real whatever. I'm not going to say mess of leading leading the COVID situation. You've got others who are brilliant at it. Yeah. Okay. But the ones that I think have fared better than the others are the ones that have both led the change and also at the same time managed it. Because I think the two issues, the leading and the managing piece go together. I don't think you can just say, they're a leader of change. They also have to be a manager of change. Yeah, because the two disciplines are absolutely interlinked.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And just to let you know, Highway of Change is one of his companies. He mentioned that. And Ron has
Sorry, you froze, Toosy.
YouTube channel, which is called Highway of Change. And
yeah,
we both froze. Well, Ron's YouTube channel is called the Highway of Change. And in that Highway of Change YouTube channel, he has videos in 40 minutes odd videos in which he has someone asked him through LinkedIn or some source, maybe email, maybe something. Ron is on LinkedIn. He can be reached on LinkedIn. And if you have an interest in change management, please do connect. Please do connect us, and please do follow the Institute of Change and Transformation Professional Asia page. Yeah. And
very quickly, I've also now got a live website. Thank you very much, Toosy and Mudassir and Nida.
Yeah, that's right. And you could follow that, look at that. You can see my website. You can see ICTPA. Go to ictp.asia. That's the professional body. And if you look at the Highway of Change YouTube channel, you would see videos in which Ron has specifically answered certain questions which people have sent to him. And the interesting thing is that people who are seasoned change management professionals have asked him questions. People who are doing business degrees and have a lot of experience in change management are also asking him questions. People who are young have also asked him questions, and people have asked him questions from all over the world. That's the beauty of it. And just think, if you can get advice on a particular question from a person who has been into change management for 40 years, 40 odd years.
Yeah, 40 odd years.
40 odd years. Yeah, that's quite a lot. And pretty solid. He's been in pretty solid places.
Just to explain, my advice is purely practical. It's very practical. It's based on my knowledge and my experience. So whatever I say, whatever I suggest, and whatever I sort of say you should do this, you should do that, etc., is probably based on something that I've experienced before, or I've tried before and has worked or hasn't worked. Yeah. And very much like the training I deliver as well, my 2-day online training course called The Fun of Change, that is based on practical experience. I'd like to think that there's not anything that I train on that I can't tell a story about. Yeah. If someone says, how does that work? I can say, oh yeah, I remember doing that 20 years ago, 25 years ago, or whatever. And, this is what I did and this is how it worked, or these were the problems I faced, etc. So everything is backed up with experience. Yeah. It's not theory. And unfortunately, there are a lot of change management training courses out there that are heavily focused on theory as opposed to practicalities. I don't do a lot of theory. I do some, don't get me wrong, I do some, but not a lot.
Yeah, and that's exactly why our ICTPA is going to bring up our own body of knowledge. And within that body of knowledge, we are going to be very particular about the cross-cultural dynamics, and realize and say, we're going to very explicitly say, there is no copy paste. There is no copy paste. There's a lady who's actually asked, can you give me your link, YouTube, Mr. Please and thank you. We'll go into the comments. We'll try to go into the comments and we'll try to put it
Yeah, I mean, just very,
on the
very quickly, if you go to
uh,
YouTube and you search on
link.
the highway of change, it should take you to my channel. But
Yeah,
we'll
that's
we'll
right.
put a link. We'll put a link in the comments. Yeah.
I am.
You're just doing that, Susie?
I am not going to try to do that. Could you actually just? I am going to give. I'm going to try to actually find out if that could be put in one of the comments while we're talking. And
Okay.
yep. And would you actually please? That's it.
That looks like it. That's the one. Yep.
So yeah, it's been subscribed. Been subscribed.
There's 14 videos on there at the
14
moment,
videos,
and
and the
they
15th one is
all
coming.
yeah, and another one coming next week, which is all about the alignment between Lean Six Sigma and change management.
Yeah, that's right. And Ron, just to actually tell you about this logo which we have over here. This logo is Seekhna Seekho. That's Urdu of learn how
Which
to
logo
learn.
is that?
The logo on the right, if you look at the top. No, not in the
that
room.
one.
On
Or
the
that one.
on the screen. On the screen.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
That logo is basically Seekhna Seekho, and actually it's initiative to make people learn how to learn. So it actually fits in with the only people are going to, I mean, the learn, unlearn, relearn thing. So what we are actually trying to propagate, is the people need to learn how to learn. Everyone needs to learn, but we also need to learn how to learn. The different ways of learning, and people need to actually jump into learning and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that's most of it.
And
yeah.
And the one thing for me is learning has to be fun.
Yeah.
There's no longer a place for boring learning. It has to be fun because people relate more to something if they enjoy what they're doing. If they don't enjoy what they're doing, they just forget it. I mean, our attention span is now about 8 seconds. Would you believe? So,
Wow,
you get told something after 8 seconds, it's gone. But if you can relate it to graphics or pictures, or if you relate it to something that's fun, or you can tell a story about it, it sinks in more.
Yeah, and maybe that's the way. That's exactly the reason why when I took your course, I really liked it, and that's exactly why as soon as I got that joint venture with AIT, the natural ally for the change management part, it was the highway of change, Ron Leeman. Obviously, I could do it myself, but no, I would rather have it done by the best possible person. And yeah, that's the obvious thing is Ron. And I'm actually saying it. And a lot of people who know me, know that I don't exaggerate certain things. And if I'm saying that he's one of the best, he is one of the best. I'm saying it out of experience because I have attended this training course. And some of my friends actually were saying, "Why are you taking a basic course?" And I actually said, "I'm taking it." I told them I'm taking it for two reasons. One, I want to learn more in change management. The more I'm learning, and I've read around 20 books on change management since I actually started my own consulting. And I wanted to learn, and I wanted to see how he's framed it. And another thing which is really important, interesting, is how does he deliver it? Because he delivers it digitally. I wanted to learn that. And
can I just say, I just finished with a trainee in Malaysia, and I've just got feedback which I posted on LinkedIn. And one of the things that really, really excited me was that she said was, although the training was online, it was like actually having proper face-to-face training. Yeah. And that is what I'm trying to do. Okay, we've got this online stuff kicking around at the moment, and it's fine. But if you can actually relate to people even online, and you can do that, there's a bit of an art in doing it. You can relate. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and Hisham actually, we talked about Hisham when you met him when we came here. He's actually delivered training to 1 million people now, and when he started, the minister who talked to him said that this is infotainment. This is
Yeah.
infotainment.
Yeah.
You have to make it fun. He actually he shadowed a comedian.
Yeah.
He shadowed a comedian to learn how to actually be that.
Hey,
And
I even break into karaoke sometimes on my course because I have a brain that relates sometimes with things I say to music, and if I suddenly say something and it relates to music and I know the song, I'll just break into song.
yeah, and that's and you know what? Last night, well, I didn't sleep last night because around 1 o'clock, from 1 o'clock at night, Hisham actually came online, and the topic was online learning, problems of online learning. I jumped in because I mean that's one of my first favorite topics, and I'm actually now, because I'm with the AIT and I'm going to deliver that digitally, so I'm actually into it, and I've been actually coming Facebook Live a lot to engage with people. So the interesting thing was we spent 2.5 odd hours last night on talking about why aren't people getting engaged. And a lot of people actually commented that it's not the same, but the reality is what we need to do is we need to simulate. We don't have a choice. Well, we don't have a choice at the moment for physical training till COVID-19 doesn't settle down. We need to simulate everything. We need to simulate everything.
The key is, and I think what happened is because people go online, they are different to the way they would be when they're not online. So the key for me is what you see here. It's like, what you see here is what you get, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
So it's being yourself online.
Right.
If you start making, hand gestures and, you lean back and, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what you would do normally. So why not do it online? Because that's the kind of person you are.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's exactly why, Ron, that's exactly why I actually requested you. And just for the audience, Ron came at a very short notice. We were making some videos a few hours ago. And I said, Ron, would you actually come online? I have a friend of mine has a lot of audience, so I want to propagate whatever we want to say to a wider audience. Ron said, okay. And then I asked Hisham. I said, Hisham, can we get your stream? And actually, I thought he was going to say, okay, by this time, you can have my stream. So what Hisham actually came up with, he gave me the stream. I didn't have time. And Ron actually, in reality, I showed what I told Ron, and Ron said 2 minutes, please.
I was watching MMA on TV. And I don't actually ordered something to eat as well, which I cancelled just to come online. So
yeah.
So by the way,
nice of you.
By the way, yeah. Hisham has subscribed to my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And Hisham has a huge following on YouTube, by the way. Hisham has huge following on YouTube, and and he actually teaches. He teaches online freelancing. He teaches digital marketing. He teaches, and his audience, Hisham's audience on YouTube is not. He does it in Urdu, but people in Bangladesh, people in India, people in Pakistan, even people in Afghanistan follow him, and they learn from him. And another good thing about Hisham, what he does, which is a very different thing, is that he teaches over there, and then he comes on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live, and asks people to come in the stream and ask questions live. So a person who doesn't have substance would never do that.
Funny you should say that, because I've been thinking of doing, the videos on my YouTube channel. I've been thinking of doing You Ask, I Answer live. So actually doing a live You Ask, I Answer. So get on YouTube, do it, get people to ask me a question. Because, at the moment, when people send me a question in, I sort of do a little bit of research. I sort of, think out the back of my mind, etc., etc., etc. And I do a little bit of scripting. But it's a bigger challenge doing it live and doing it without, scripts.
And that's the beauty. That's the beauty, because when you're going to deliver a training, what Hisham actually said, I'm going to tell you one thing, and I hope I've improved. In January, I put up a video on my YouTube channel, and Hisham looked at it and said, He said, Toosy, you're camera shy. The only way is keep on coming on the camera. You're not natural when you talk on the camera. So I kept on coming on the camera. Now I think I'm fairly natural when I'm coming on the camera now. I'm not as shy as I used to be. I'm not. I still have a lot. Still have a lot to. A long way to go. I still have a long way to go. And in my training, I'm going to even practice even more. I'm going to make sure I make it into infotainment.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. My videos on the YouTube channel are rehearsed and they're scripted. Okay, because I have to answer a question and I have to answer it logically and in line with what the guy asked me. And I could do better, to be honest. Yeah, I can do better than what I do. And the more I do, the more adept I would get at doing it. And that's why I kind of think that I quite like the challenge of doing it live. And maybe in the next few months I'll
we should do that. We should do that.
I'll think about it.
especially Ron, especially when ICTPA is incorporated. We'll do this. I mean, we'll do it again, and we'll maybe next time we'll do it more planned, and we would and we would actually ask people to come and actually talk to us. This is a nice way to actually simulate a roadshow.
Well, because, to be honest, I'm enjoying what we're doing here because we're just talking to each other. We're talking naturally. We're questions. We're firing questions. We're thinking of things, and it kicks this into gear.
It stimulates you. It stimulates your mind. That's right. I mean, we didn't actually think what we're going to talk about. We just actually thought about. I'll be talking about Toosy Advisory Services. We'll be talking about. Did we talk about Lean Six Sigma Academy, AIT?
Briefly,
a little bit. Yeah, briefly. Just like we have Lean Six Sigma Academy has been opened in Asian Institute of Technology, and through their training and consulting wing, which is AIT Extension, and they have started it in collaboration with as a part of the joint venture between Toosy Advisory Services, which is my company, and it is AIT Extension. It's a joint venture. I have, along with me, I have actually I have Ron, who's going to be code training, and certain parts of my Lean Six Sigma trainings is going to be done by Ron. Similarly, his change management fund for change is going to be delivered by him primarily, but I would actually also jump into try to barge into it and do something myself too. I'll try to do that. And another thing, I'm actually trying to I've been saying it to a lot of people. A lot of people actually say that COVID-19 is only negative. Nothing good has happened from it. And with everything, what we need to actually think is, has anything positive come out of it? Did we get time to learn? If you have learned, you have gained. If you have tried to do something new, you might have actually gained. I have done 3 things. And Ron, you've actually been seeing me. We've been talking on video calls since a long time now. Do you remember how fat I used to be?
I've lost 12 kilograms. I wouldn't say fat, I'd say chunky.
Okay, chunky. Okay, yeah. I have lost 12 kilograms.
I've lost 6.
You've lost 6. Wow, great. And just by the way, Ron is stocky. Ron is he's 6'1".
6'1".
Yeah, 6'1", and he swims for more than an hour. He swims for an hour. Sometimes swims for an hour twice a day.
Yeah.
Can anyone beat that?
And weight training as well.
And weight training is separate from it.
Even at my tender age.
Yeah, even at your tender age, your growing age. Yeah. Yeah. So that's the interesting thing. So I actually got a joint venture. The discussion started in COVID-19 during the lockdown. The contract was signed. Negotiations were done during COVID-19, and we signed an agreement during COVID-19. Ron was my witness, and Ron knew all along. Ron knew all of what was happening. I mean, I kept him in loop. He's one of my mentors. He's one of my mentors. And interestingly, now the lockdown is more or less still there. COVID-19 is still there, and during COVID-19, I'll be delivering it digitally. After COVID-19, hopefully, I'll be coming to Thailand and delivering it.
That'll be good. That'll be good.
Yeah. That's going to be great. That's going to be
Yeah.
great. So, Ron, do you want to tell? Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
just to say about the AIT. The AIT have been a university establishment since 1959, and they're a very well recognised university here in Thailand and certainly across Asia as well. And a lot of people who are something, CEOs, etc., have have gone through the Asian Institute of Technology for their qualifications. And the other thing we didn't mention was that you will be getting a certificate as well.
Yeah.
At the end of the course.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going to add something, Steve.
Yeah. I was going to say, Ron, could you actually please talk about your website and talk about your company, the Highway of Change? We haven't talked about that much.
No. Okay. The Highway of Change. What is the Highway of Change? The Highway of Change was established when I moved here to Thailand, and basically it's a kind of a boutique consultancy. I am the Highway of Change, but I work with a number of associates. And since I came here, I've been threatening to have my website built for ages, and it's now, I reckon, about 99% there. But just to say, I mean, what we do consultancy, okay? We do coaching and mentoring. We do training. And I've kind of soft launched it, what's called Trusted Advisor Online, which is a service whereby we offer individuals and organizations a half an hour or an hour via Zoom or WebEx or whatever on any subject they want to talk about with an expert they want to talk to. Okay, the associates I have are all experts in their own field, and even if I don't have one, even if I don't have an associate, I can find somebody. And what it would be, there'll be a minimal charge for the time. The video will be recorded, okay, and it will be sent to the individual who requested it as a record of what was discussed. And this is the way I think consultancy is going for the future. Yeah, gone are the days when you pay $2,000-3,000 a day for the PwCs and the Ernst and Youngs of this world. And what people want is they want a quick hit. They want to know they've got a specific problem. They want to know about, what do I do in this circumstance? I'm trying to do this, and how do I do it? I'm trying to communicate with people. What's the best way to communicate with people? So that's online. The website as well includes access to all of my YouTube videos. It includes access to all of my LinkedIn articles, all about change management. And I think there has been in excess of 100,000 views of all of those. And it also provides access to my change management IP, my business framework documents. And that the website now is what I call your one-stop service station on the highway of change.
Yeah. Okay. So
it's all there. It's all there.
Yeah, it's all there. It's all there. It's all there in one page. And the good thing is that if you go on associates, click on Mohammad Toosy, you'll see my face.
Yeah. That I don't know whether to say, oh, that would be good or not, but
but it's still there. It's still there. Okay, yeah. Okay, Ron. I think we should wrap it up here, and
okay.
We'll look at the comments. We'll try to look at the comments, and we will. Yeah. Being streamed in different places. We'll try to answer all the comments, and please, you can follow Toosy Advisory Services. You can follow ICTPA. Please follow Highway of Change, and you would learn a lot. Especially, Ron does not interact that much on Facebook, but he interacts a lot on LinkedIn. So if anyone wants to connect with him on LinkedIn, learn. If you look at his website, there's so many links. There are so many links. It's not even funny. The amount of links to different articles which he's written on LinkedIn, and it's really interesting.
I have to say that they're all my own view, by the way.
Yeah.
They're all my own view. They're not anyone else's. But hey, sorry. We've hit an hour. Good grief.
Yeah. Good grief. Thank you, Ron. I would think we should wrap it up. And
No, thank you, Toosy.
Thank you.
It's been great.
Yeah, well, let
All
me
right.
actually tell Hisham to end it.
All right.